Good morning, everyone. Sorry about that. I was having a few technical issues trying to get the room open, but I think we've got the problem solved now. And here we are with the NASDAQ off of the open. Things looking a little bit bearish, I would say. Prices fell off toward the close, fairly quiet through the European session. But at any rate, we're opening up with a little bit of an open gap here. The market left off, looks like around 44.05-ish. And we're trading just below that level. The eagle coming out here with a signal off of the hard edge. I don't know whether or not I want to try that right out of the gate. Oh, and they're going to make me test it here. So here comes the signal. Where would I cover? Could I cover above 44.05? Nope, that's going to be a little bit out of reach. Maybe what I'll do is I'll wait for a second push on this signal. The hawk, as you can see, is very conflicted. Can't decide whether it wants to go higher or lower. The raptor all over the map as well. We're obviously trading near the bottom end of this trading formation. We are getting a hard edge bounce. So this is similar to what we're seeing in the eagle. If you're going to try this, it's going to be one of these, let's test the waters type trade. You can sell the market here on the hash mark. If you get filled, stops will go in above the highs. I'm just going to go in with a runner and a onesie. All right, there we go. Let's see whether or not they have any follow through on this. It's really a very early trade. We're only a few minutes into the session. It's the type of trade, like I say, that you do just to see which way the market might be inclined to drift today. So here we are, we're coming back to the bottom. Come on, give me a bar. Give me a bar, and I think I'm going to get a lot more aggressive with my stops. Okay, we'll move now into the parabolics. Here's that same signal that we were looking at here on the eagle that we've taken on the raptor. And we did get a trend change signal here on the falcon as well. So a couple opportunities to take advantage of the same signal. The funny thing is that the hawk, well, I suppose the hawk gave us this green bar sell back here, but it was a little bit messy. It's a little bit difficult to decipher. All right, so we've hit our break-even trigger here now on the raptor. starting to see a little bit of follow through as the sellers are getting busy right out of the gate. Good morning, Derek. Nice to see you in the room this morning. Derek says gold has been incredible the past 2 nights. We'll take a look at the gold market here, see what's going on. So here's gold now on the Falcon. We got to roll back. Here's a little ways to see when Derek's actually trading it. Wow, you're right. There's some really substantial moves on gold. My goodness. So we've got London opening around here somewhere. The market just starts to tank, taking on water. Nice little bounce off the support and resistance line. And then they reverse and start going the other way. Wow. It's nice to see the markets kind of moving again a little bit. Oh, Derek knocking it out of the park. I don't want to make anybody jealous here. Derek says he made $42,000 last night on gold. That's fantastic. Forget the boat. You're going to be looking at getting your own airplane soon. All right, now we're getting a first micro-macro cross here in the Hawk. This bad boy showing up a little bit late, so, perhaps we'll enter below the low. It's only a couple of ticks. Remember, you can use this second push strategy on pretty much any market. Unfortunately, you do need to cover it a little bit high if you're going to try to take this trade, because we're a little late to the party at this point. So we're producing another warning dot. Should the market continue lower, we're going to get another hash mark. There we go. Technically, this is no longer the first micro-macro cross. That occurred right here, but it's close enough that you could treat the two as one. And the momentum's still very strong. Sometimes with the Hawk, because it's only a single, I'll delete the profit objective, see if we can't run it out a little bit. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you end up getting the reversal. Right now the stops are at break even. We would have hit our profit objective. Darn it. Stinkers. So we gave back the $50 they gave us. Well, gave back 40 of the 50. The broker gets his. Got to look out for those poor brokers. Okay, so here's the first real attempt at a rally, and it looks like we're going to get tagged, or might get tagged on the reversal. Yeah, like Joe says, the broker always gets paid. Well, we might, who knows, we might be able to ride out this little bit of a swing. Goodness knows the market made a very, very strong move down here. I wouldn't have thought there was a reason to put on the brakes just yet. Come on. Joe says, can you take a look at crude oil when you have a chance? Absolutely. So here's crude oil coming out with the first micro-macro cross to the downside. You might be looking at this and saying, well, the micro and macro lines didn't cross. No, they didn't. But everything went out of sync, including the filter, bars and trend lines, and then came back into sync. So this is essentially your first micro-macro cross signal. Can I cover it? Oh, I can. So crude oil looking a little bit bearish today as well. If you look at what it's been doing the last couple of days, it is very much in a downtrend. And as such, the momentum, the immediate momentum is for prices to head lower. Crude, of course, is a crazy market expense-wise. And here now is crude on the Falcon, also producing an early trend change signal right here. We did have that up, down, up pattern, or down, up, down pattern, pardon me, as the market retreated into the trend line. So if you wanted to be aggressive on the trade, you could short here, or you can wait for the proper trend change signal to develop, which it should be doing shortly, if in fact prices head lower. And here on the Eagle, I think it's pretty obvious. The market is in a downtrend. And we're producing a sell signal. Looks like from near the top end of the trading range. We would anticipate it to head down here to around 46 something. Before possibly reacting. Yeah, Joe says crude can be bipolar, definitely. Good morning, Jim. Jim says the advanced decline numbers, we got 500 on the buy and 2,500 on the sell, but remember, we've got that rather substantial opening gap. That's going to skew our numbers a bit. So both the Eagle trade, the early Falcon signal, the Hawk signal, unfortunately, I got tapped on that little break-even move. In hindsight, I should have held my stops or taken profit, either or. taking profit is always nice. But so far, the Raptor swinging for the fences. I think the buyers could be stepping up here in a moment with a little bit of a upward momentum. Jim says magic support for the NQ down here around 43.67. Yeah, that'd be very close to our secondary support line, which is 43.65 quarter-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. Things definitely slowing down after a rather substantial move lower. Good start to the day anyway. Yeah, that's all right. That's okay for a little single, just popping in there. All right, so they tagged us on that reversal. As the market seems to be putting in a little bit of support now. Oops. All right, looking for the conflict here between the buyers and sellers. We've got a fairly even matchup here at the moment. Okay, well, we had a macro pullback signal here. Sorry, I'm squirming in my seat again. I got some really good drugs from the doctor yesterday. But it might be a little bit early to be taking those. Maybe not. And then I'll just start talking to you like, la, 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 la. All right. Oh, we actually got a late filter entry here on the Falcon as well. I didn't notice that. So late filter entry tends to be a high probability signal. The important thing with the late filter entry is that the trend line does not change color. The filter goes out of sync, comes back into sync. I'm actually looking for the buyers to show up. The sellers have owned the market for the first half hour. Somewhere through here, you think the buyers are going to make at least, a little bit of a stand. Our crude oil trade also just hit its profit objective. If you were following that crude oil hawk, where we shorted from here, took its time, but hit its profit target. Hooray for us. Way to go, Joe. Joe says he's riding crude oil lower on the way down, so good luck to you. Hopefully, we'll see crude oil trade toward the bottom end of this trading range that we highlighted, which could put prices maybe as low as 46.70, 46.60, depending how they slip along here. Oh, baby, the momentum, not what it was out of the gate, but that's kind of the way trading has been of late as well. Yeah, Derek reiterating what Joe said earlier, crude is a bipolar market to trade. It certainly is. Jim says the YM has got a big cloud brewing here, 79 ticks from the cloud to cloud. That's pretty substantial. But before we get too anxious about buying into a reversal, we do need to see the retest and the failure, remember? We want to see that retest of the low. Come on. If you guys are going to start buying up the support, let's see it. All right, so it looks as though, you can tell from the width of these bars here, we've had a whole lot of trading going on. Well, crude oil almost in slow motion this morning. Jim says, have a look at crude's Geiger counter. All right, I just threw one here onto the Falcon. And yeah, there's some pretty big numbers going through on the bid and ask. See that 760 some odd orders, 750 on the buy side. Seems as though the buyer's trying very hard to put in some sort of support. And the same thing going on here on the NASDAQ. No, I know Derek says not a single positive tick today. And that's true. They've been selling right out of the open all the way down. So all our signals, here was the eagle signal. So no problem getting to the profit target there. The hawk signal, we got bounced at break even. I should have gone in again off this macro pullback. Sorry for missing that. Hopefully somebody saw it. And then we have the late filter entry signal here in the Falcon. So we get the early trend change signal, the proper trend change signal, followed shortly by the late filter entry signal. Regardless of which one you took, didn't matter. They all got to their profit target. And then, of course, in the Raptor, we had the early signal here off of the hard edge. Tony says there was news report out at the top of the hour, out at 10 o'clock. We'll see whether or not that lends the market some support. We're likely not going to get a buy signal. If we do get a buy signal, it's going to be here on the Raptor, I suppose, with a soft edge buy signal. everything getting really quiet all of a sudden. Maybe the thing to do is just trade the first half hour and then go back to bed, because it seems the first half hour of trading is when we've been getting all the action. All right, here's a second macro pullback signal. We know that there's typically only two macro pullbacks within a trend. So this is going to be the iffier of the two. The Raptor giving us a very tiny little retest here of the low. Okay, so we're long on the, or pardon me, short on the Raptor. Doggone it, Eric. Getting all my signals mixed up again. Short on the Hawk, because it's only a single. I'll delete the break-even trigger, but just bear in mind that sometimes you're better off just taking the profit when the market flashes it to you. If we get a couple bars lower here, what I'll do is I'll start to roll my stop in more aggressively. Yeah, Phil says those drugs are affecting you. Yeah, it's hard to concentrate when you're in pain. Gold slipping a bit, actually a little bit of a seesaw in gold. So our Hawk trade now moving into yellow bars. That's not exactly what I was hoping to see. Yellow bars at this stage mean that the market, well, yellow bars by definition are neutral, but things could be getting a little bit more bullish. We got a bit of a cheesy fill on that signal. agree, Jim. Jim says a lot of shorts on board. A lot of people looking to sell. Crude starting to firm up as well. Jim says the DAX is firming up. Crude oil is starting to firm up also. Here's crude. You can see we broke the bottom end of this channel. Now we're starting to get a little bit of a response. So anticipate crude oil prices to see an uptick. Good question, Jim. Jim asked, do you think the market has the Brexit factored in? And of course, that's for whether the UK is going to, or Britain is going to leave the European Union. And yes, I'm a technical analyst, so I believe that everything known about a market is factored into the price. All right, here we go. Last chance for the bears. Whenever there's a downtrend like this, you need to assume that whenever the buyers try to get some momentum going, the sellers are going to step on them, try to knock them down. Yeah, Jim, I agree. Jim says now we're looking for a retest, and that's exactly what we're looking for. If the retest fails, in other words, if the market continues going lower, well then we should see prices fall off some more. If this holds, then we could see a little bit of an uptick for the buyers. Wow, what a bar. What a strong bar. Okay, we did get an early soft edge buy signal. If this bar heads higher, we should produce another soft edge buy signal, in which case we could buy. Derek just sent me a video clip that he sends out to everybody. Let's see if I can reproduce it. There you go. Kind of get you in the right framing mindset, trading mindset. Okay, they're going to try to sell it. We're getting a second push on the entry here to short. If this support now holds and we come back with that buy signal, that's going to be a pretty good buy signal for us. And we could probably anticipate a move back here to the hard edge, somewhere around 43.77, 78. Just flirting with the break-even trigger now on the hawk. Come on. There we go. We got the break-even. And now we'll see whether or not the sellers got the right stuff to continue pushing the market lower. And there they go. Big move lower. So you could tell that bar that was forming, that was taking so long to decide, how the fact that it was so neutral, it turned out to be this particular bar here on the hawk. Which one was it? This one right here, I think. No, must have been this one, the one with all the volume. That there was some serious decision making going on. Yeah, Derek says, go gold. Gold just making a monster move. Here's gold. Derek made his comment relatively early. The market just started to rally like crazy. So definitely a seller's market today. Every time the buyers try to step in to the stock indices, they get squashed. Sellers just all over them. Nicely done. Derek says he grabbed 40 ticks on that gold trade. Amazing. Nice job. Oh, you guys are mean. Yeah, it is almost like the good old days, isn't it, Derek, where the markets actually had some decent moves. Yeah, right now it's not. The market's lacking serious follow-through. I'm getting some comments here about Janet Yellen, which I should not share, even though this is a private forum. We'll still try to keep things fairly civil. Yeah, like Tony says, say something bad and I'll be on Obama's watch list. All right, so there we go. Got a little bit of a reversal there, stopped us out of our short on the hawk. And the buyer's getting a lot stronger here at the moment. All right, is this going to be now our bottom for the day? Or at least for the morning? We are moving a little bit more sideways. Here, I suppose we can look at it on the Raptor. You know, we had a big move down, then we had this leg. You see how we're starting to get a little bit more overlap? How they're starting to drift a little bit sideways? Yeah, you're right, Jim. Jim says the 10 a.m. low is right on support at 43.65 here on the NQ. So we got some matching areas of resistance there. Got all these darn telemarketers calling. Don't they know I'm busy? I know they're just trying to earn a living, but stop bothering me at home. We have a friend who's so annoyed at telemarketers she keeps a rape whistle next to the telephone. So if you happen to be phoning her house to sell her something, brace yourself. Okay, we are in a little bit of a jam now. The market's trying to head lower, but it can't. And every time it tries to head higher, it gets knocked back down. So we're in the situation now where we're pretty much, at a 50-50 type scenario. You can see a lot of volume coming through on these bars by the width of these bars. The sell signals and the buy signals are pretty evenly matched. The trend is still down, so when in doubt, short. But I am looking for that soft edge buy on the Raptor. Yep, see you, Derek. Thanks for popping in. Alrighty, come on. Well, crude oil's where I thought they were finding some support, not to be. They came back with yet another sell signal and are continuing to push the market lower. We're going to get a subsequent signal here on the Falcon. So we're getting another sell signal here on the Falcon. We do have a chance to take the second push on the entry And all that means is that we've let the signal engage, and we kind of see the limit that the buyers were and the sellers were at, and now we can enter below that limit. It does mean giving up a couple of ticks on the entry, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a nail biter. All right, so if you happen to be short on this Falcon trade, we're looking for the market to give us at least one more bar here in our favor and challenge these lows. That'll be a good time to get more aggressive with our stops as well. Come on, come on. There you go. The reason I'm rolling my stops now is the sellers have recommitted to the downside. We've seen them the buyers tried to push up. I placed my stop far away initially to give us a chance to ride out a swing that may have developed. But right now the seller's just pushing hard. Come on. Come on, don't just stand there. Come on. Come on. Oh my gosh. What happened to everybody? Did they all go home? Is this thing on? Oh, there they go. Finally saw a tick. Come on. Here we go. Let's go. Oh, you guys, you're killing me here. gonna have a nap, falling asleep. There we go. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Well, it's close enough to the break-even trigger. I think I'm going to force the trade to break even at this point. If it bounces, okay, it bounces. It should be heading lower. It should be heading lower with a lot more momentum than what we're seeing. But it's not. So what do? I took the break-even hit. I'll probably regret that. Okay, now somebody will let the traders on the floor know that Eric's out of the trade, and so that they can safely head lower now without me. Yeah, you bet, Tony. Tony says, thanks, we can now get ours. We can now get our profit. Yeah. Hello, traders on the floor. I'm out of the market. You can go short now. See, here they come. we keep getting a little bit flatter and flatter on our downward momentum. Well, the eagle's still holding pretty well, but the other charts show, we've kind of lost some of that earlier oomph. We've had the move down. Now we're kind of dragging a little. Okay, another macro pullback signal. That's going to be number 3 within this trend. Kind of signaling that we're running out of steam. I'd love to see a little retest here in a soft edge buy. Yeah, like Tony says, that trading is so exciting. Somebody give me my blood pressure medicine. It is dragging today. Joe, are you still short crude oil? Are you able to nurse that one lower? Because crude oil made a very decent move lower. So here's crude still slipping lower. Not screaming lower by any stretch, but a nice progression to the downside. I took profit on target, but it did offer up a little bit more. No, Joe says I was trailing, but got stopped. Oh, way to go, Tony. Tony says he got in on that last little move on crude oil. Yeah, see you, Ryman. I think we're going to be closing things up here pretty quick, too. Oh, way to go, Joe. Joe says it would have hit my target had he not gotten stopped out. Yeah, like Joe says, to trail or not to trail, that is the question. I'm a firm believer it depends on the size of your account. If you are trading a really small account, and we're not going to put numbers on it. If you think it's a small account, then it's probably a small account. Take profit when you have it. That's my own opinion. If you're trading a moderately sized account, let the odd one run. If you're trading a large account, you should always try to have a runner in play, because there's going to be times that the market's going to go, and you're going to wish that you were there with it, instead of trying to find another spot to get in. right, you guys, I think we're going to button things up here a little bit early. The market's just very, very quiet. At this point, given that we've had 3 macro signals, given that the market is so dead sideways, I honestly would anticipate a little bit of an uptick. Now, I doubt I'm the only one. We are working a late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. If it produces a sell signal, well, it is a high probability signal, so I would have to take it. Maybe I'll, cover the trade as deep as I can. I'll certainly only go in with a onesie. Even that seems a little bit rich to me. Maybe I'll wait for a second push on the entry. It's not the kind of trade that's going to give you a real warm, fuzzy feeling, however. I would consider this a 50-50 proposition. 50% chance the market will go down, hit our profit target, 50% chance the market's going to reverse and try to go higher off of the lows. That's where we're at right now. Sure. Joe asked, can you talk a little bit more about whether or not to trail a stop? Well, very often out of the open, I will try to trail a stop because very often there's momentum as the market opens. As the day goes on, however, a lot of times you'll be better off just taking profit when you have it. I think it's important too to trade in a fashion that is to your own personality. I worked with a fellow who could not stand to take profit on target and have the market move along without him. So if we took, like this signal back here, the trend change signal, or I guess the trend change signal back here, we would be out with profit somewhere around here, and then he'd watch the market go this much lower, and it would just drive him crazy. Well, for that type of personality, you need to try to keep a runner in play all the time. For me, that doesn't bother me because I know I'm going to miss a lot of signals throughout the day. I'm just focusing on trying to find 2 or 3 or 4 really quality signals that I can get behind with a great deal of confidence and look at taking those. If they work, fantastic, I've made some money. If they don't work, well then I try to position each trade so that I don't wipe myself out if things go poorly. So I think trailing a stop early on in the session, it's worthwhile in case the market is making a big opening move. And again, it has to suit your personality. A lot of times if I only have a single in play, I will try to run it out, try to run it a little bit further, especially on a tool like the Hawk. But when the market volatility is drying up as it is now, there's just very little activity. There's not much point in trying to trail a stop, in my opinion. I may as well just take the profit if I can get it. But as I said before, the smaller your account, the more likely you should be to take profit when you have it. It is a big deal to build up your account. Let's say you're trading a $5,000 account. All your trades are going to be lopsided on the risk-reward side. You're going to be trading almost 5% of your capital just to get a trade on. And if you can take $50 a day out of the market, then in a month's time, you should have an extra $1,000, an extra $10,000 in a year, an extra $20,000 in 2 years. So I think you need to take like a 5-year plan approach where your sole objective is to protect your capital and earn more. And really, at the end of the day, that's everybody's objective. And sometimes the easiest way to do that is find a high probability signal, take the signal, take the profit when you have it, and try not to, let the market move too much against you. This, even though it is a late filter entry signal, is not a quality signal. Well, it is and it isn't. We're in a very strong downtrend, but we can tell just by watching that the downtrend is not as strong as it was. Now we're seeing the market trying to reverse. I'm hoping to see one more push lower here, and then I'm going to get really aggressive with my stops in case this works into a full-blown reversal. But it's not a pretty trade, not like some of the earlier ones that we saw this morning. All right, you guys, we're going to shut down the room. It's top of the hour. We're close enough, and we're running into some very stagnant markets. I'll see you again tomorrow morning, and we'll do it all over again. All right, bye for now.